Please be advised that this video is for the sole purpose of entertainment. Any views are purely my own, are subjective and may not necessarily be true. I do, however, do extensive research for all of my videos. All photos have been found on the public domain. I am using them under the fair use and fair dealing guidelines. I urge everybody to do their own research. Well, hello, it's Murky Meg here. It's Wednesday the 22nd of April, and let's talk for a minute about the Queen's birthday. She turned 94 yesterday, and it was a lovely celebration that they put all over social media. There was some unseen footage in there of when she was a child, but of course we all know at the moment the Sussex Royal Instagram account is not allowed to be used. They said their goodbyes, they did that whole tearful farewell, the fans cried and got a bit over emotional. We all applauded because we know that they're not allowed to use their Instagram account as per the rules of the Brexit deal. How on earth were they going to wish the Queen happy birthday? Now, most people would do it in a private manner. They said they wanted privacy, so do you think they did that? Oh, no. They sent the details to a hand-picked selection of publications to share what happened with the Queen. Yes, that's right. They released their own PR to their select few that they think view them in a positive light. Again, that is called censorship. And they told the world that they had wished the Queen a happy birthday along with baby Archie via Zoom. Now, the palace had specifically requested that any details of any calls between the Queen and her family on this occasion should be private. But of course, they never listen. They wanted this connection with the Queen to be made public, so they did. They shared it with the public, or the publications that they felt would look at them in the best light. Unfortunately, this has gone down like a lead balloon, and they're now being mocked by the tabloids. The Daily Mail have called them outright being privacy obsessed. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle rushed to tell their favourite media about birthday Zoom chat with the Queen and Archie, even though the palace said all royals should keep their calls discreet. It seems that discreet means something completely different to Harry and Meghan than it does to everybody else. And it seems that the former editor of the Daily Telegraph, The Spectator, and the Sunday Telegraph, Charles Moore, however, he still writes for all three of them, has a different opinion altogether. Now, the Telegraph was one of the papers that Harry and Meghan have deemed to be sacred enough for them to release their news to. This is what he has to say, and this was printed in the press. As a writer on one of the few newspapers not cast into darkness by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, I suppose I should feel privileged. Actually, I feel a little disappointed. My message to their semi-royal highnesses is, please extend to me the zero engagement you have offered my tabloid brothers. At present, Big Story is a global virus killing tens of thousands of people and decimating economies. In these circumstances, I would quite like to be released from any opportunity to cover the activities of your new non-profit empire, Archewell, and whatever else you may find to do in Los Angeles. Wow, that is scathing, and typically quite quintessentially English as well, because it's kind of passive-aggressive in a sarcastic kind of way. And the digs don't stop there either. The Sun's headline, I think it was yesterday, relates to Prince Philip's message on Instagram to the key workers, and it was kind of spurring them on and giving them a big old clap. The Sun, however, published on their front page picture of Prince Philip with the headlined Grand Bold Duke. And in the very far right-hand corner, almost unrecognisable, it says, but some bloke called Harry, 35, from Hollywood, has sent a different kind of message. Again, sarcasm, little digs, it's the British way. But they are now, if they weren't before, they are now even more of a laughingstock because it seems their thirstiness knows no bounds. Sticking with the Sun, the editor, Dan Wootton, has retaliated on the fact that they're one of the chosen four that will have zero engagement from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. He said on Talk Radio, this is his entire retaliation response, basically. I'm going to say it word for word. This is what he said. For the record, the reason that Harry and Meghan have decided to institute some sort of a ban on the British tabloids is because they are the very newspapers reporting on the facts about their behind-the-scenes fallout with the royal family. Dan said that he spoke personally in his case, that it has meant revealing that William and Kate had rowed with them over Meghan's treatment of palace staff, that the Queen had banned Meghan from wearing jewellery from the royal collection, that Meghan was working with a Hollywood business manager to set up a multi-million-pound deal while still a publicly funded duchess, and that their exit from the UK and the royal family was steeped in bitterness, deeply upsetting the Queen. He continues, Harry and Meghan may not have liked the stories, but they were all true, and they were all in the public's interest. Wow, I mean, if that doesn't sum it all up, I don't know what does. He, of course, is having to defend his position while receiving this letter from Harry and Meghan's representative, who I still believe is Sunshine Sachs. They're still representing her, or so I think. I think he had to come back with a retaliation because he's been hit pretty hard. He's been very, very outspoken against Harry and Meghan, and he's come against major criticism. But as he said, everything that he reports on is true. The fact that they don't like it doesn't make it not true at all. You can't stop people from reporting things if they're true. You can't do that because that's called censorship. And we don't live in a country that tolerates censorship. We have a democracy here. Freedom of speech is the cornerstone of our society. Without that, where would we be? So we've also had Serena Williams in a bizarre attempt, and she was interviewed and she completely denied or joked about not knowing who Meghan Markle was. Now, it may well have been a tongue-in-cheek joke where it was almost being sarcastic, about the most talked about woman in the world right now, because like it or not, she is, and Serena Williams might have been going, who's she? When everybody clearly knows who Meghan Markle is. But it could be due to the media scrutiny that both Harry and Meghan are getting right now, and it could be her trying to distance herself from all of that scrutiny and drama. We've got the court case coming up in a matter of days, and if you remember that this case rests on the letter that was sent from Meghan to her father. He had this letter for 6 months before sending it to the press or releasing it to the press. He only shared it with the Mail on Sunday after 5 of Meghan's friends talked about it to People magazine. Now, it was either all of them or one of them, but some of the friends put the existence of the letter into the public domain by discussing it with People magazine. Thomas Markle then, to defend himself, released the letter to the Mail on Sunday. Now, I don't know how long this court case will last or which side will actually win the court case. The Mail on Sunday haven't settled yet, and that in itself is extremely telling. I've got 2 thoughts on that. They either have strong evidence. News medias get a lot of lawsuits slapped on them, a lot more than we actually ever hear of, because they settle quite simply. They settle out of court and nobody gets to know them. The Mail on Sunday haven't settled. So why haven't they settled? My second thought is that the Mail on Sunday is thinking whatever comes out in the court case is far more newsworthy and lucrative than losing the case. It's kind of like hedging your bets. Which one will give you more clickbait? The court case is always going to get people coming to their paper, but the elements and the evidence that come out in the court case will be far more lucrative news-wise. Now, the 5 individuals that spoke originally to People magazine were never really identified. We could speculate who they were. Interestingly enough, though, is that Serena Williams tweeted on the 7th of February 19 of her sipping tea under the tagline "Sips Tea." On the 6th of February, just a day before, People article was released about the 5 friends on how wonderful Meghan is. A lot of people assumed that this tweet relates to the magazine article, and I am one of those people that believes that she had something to do with it. Of course, that's speculation. Other people say it was the makeup artist that was one of the 5 or that Jessica Rooney was one of them. Who knows? Without evidence, we don't know. But it's very interesting that because it was the 5 individual friends that brought the letter into the public domain, they very well could be brought in under a subpoena for the court case to talk about this. That could very well be why Serena Williams is keeping a very big distance or just not commenting on any of this. Has she been subpoenaed to attend court, or will she? Crazy Days and Nights released a blind yesterday saying the fallout between the illiterate former actress, which we all know is Meghan Markle, and the permanent A-list athlete is complete. The next level of shade thrown by the athlete this week towards the former actress was impressive. That relates to her denying knowing Meghan Markle. Be it shade, be it joke, I guess we'll never know. But one thing's for sure, this court case is going to be messy. It's been reported that Meghan has branded Thomas Markle a liar and denies knowing that her close friends would give an interview with People magazine. I have some issue with this. The friends must have known about the letter's existence because they spoke about it in the magazine article. Where did they hear about that letter? Well, of course, from Meghan Markle. So could those 5 individuals be subpoenaed to court and asked directly under oath whether or not Meghan Markle knew that they were doing a People magazine interview? You've got to ask the question, if Meghan didn't know that her friends were doing this interview, then why on earth hasn't she markled them? Because she seems to do that. Anybody that talks to the press that's not been authorised by her, she really does ghost them. But she doesn't seem to have done this with these 5 friends. They seem to have been kept under the fold, or at least we know of. And could the court subpoena phone records, messages, emails from the 5 individuals that were involved in the People magazine interview and Meghan Markle herself? It's all there. They could quite easily subpoena that as evidence. The Mail on Sunday could very well ask for these documentations to be included in evidence because they need to prove whether or not Meghan was aware that her friends were going to People magazine and whether or not she directed them what to say, because it's a clear indication that the existence of this letter was already out in the public domain because of the People magazine, and that's going to be the crutch of their defence, I do believe, and the fact that she is a public figure and it's in the people's interest to have this information out there. I find it extremely unusual, the fact that she's saying that she didn't have a clue that her friends were going to do this interview. And I'd love to know what you think. Do you think Meghan Markle was implicated and implicit in knowing about that interview and whether or not it was going to take place? Did she give the go-ahead to the friends to allow them to talk about her in the interview? I know that one thing is for sure, unless you are squeaky clean, you don't have anything to hide whatsoever, then all manner of things can be used as evidence in a court case if they are relevant. Now, if Meghan knew that her friends were going to talk to People magazine about her, that just shows you yet again the scale of hypocrite that she can be by not kind of distancing from her friends like she did her father. It's okay for her friends to talk to the press, but it's not okay for her father to do this. She's completely cut him out of her life. Now, one thing I will always say is that a narcissist always needs an enemy. And after this court case, who will be her next enemy, I do wonder? The Telegraph are reporting that some sensational information could very well be submitted as evidence in this court case, and that is the financial details of their connection towards the royal family. Paperwork has been filed by Meghan's legal team ahead of Friday's hearing, and it states that it will deal with what it calls the supposed amount of money or privilege she has, arguing it should not affect her right to privacy. The disclosures, which would likely arise as part of her witness statement, could go into unprecedented detail about funding for members of the royal family in a court of law. Until now, that has never really happened so publicly. It seems the crutch of Meghan's defence is that she is denying that her home travel or apparent wealth means that she forfeits a right to privacy. It adds the claimant's right to privacy is neither proportionate to nor directed by the supposed amount of money or privilege she has, nor could it possibly or sensibly be so as a matter of law. Basically, in layman's terms, it shouldn't matter how much money you have, you should still be protected for your privacy. Unfortunately, because you are a member of the royal family, it's slightly different. And I think there lies the problem of this court case. She is treating it as if she is a normal person. She isn't. At that particular time, she was a public servant. She was paid for by the public, and that's a whole different ball game. And if you think back to the Africa documentary that was done by ITV, it was very heavy on the victim status. I wished it was fair. I thought it was going to be fair, but it wasn't. It's all about her being the victim at the moment, and I just can't wait to see what Friday brings. I will be all over it. I would love to know your thoughts on today's video. Do you think they have overstepped the line by announcing to their very selected media groups that they had a call with the Queen? Or do you think it's quite reasonable to announce it? Because if they hadn't have announced it, they would have got, well, you didn't speak to the Queen, you did nothing for her birthday. What do you think of Dan Wootton's statement, and do you think he has every right to clap back at their attempt at censorship? And I would love to know your thoughts on what I've raised about the court case with the 5 friends. Did Meghan Markle know that they were going to do the interview? And do you think that because they put the existence of Thomas Markle's letter into the public domain, they will be called to court under a subpoena? As always, I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.